I hope we're on the right Reddit account. I don't want to ask him because he's being fucking moody.
It looks like we're live on Twitch.
All right. You start it off, mate.
Pryvit.
Oh, bonjour.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Brew, Season 1, Episode 92, a Yeg Music production. I'm your host, Marissa Kay.
I'm your other host, Millie Rouge, and welcome to the show today.
And good morning.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
I'm a little slow moving this morning, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, you got coffee and coffee helps. Coffee makes everything better. So,
Yes.
how was your morning this morning?
Oh, pretty good. What's new with my life? Really nothing. Not a whole lot. I was trying to think of anything new, but
It's Friday today.
yeah,
But
it is
nothing.
Friday.
It's.
Does that mean anything?
I don't think it means anything anymore. You know.
I ain't doing much. I feel that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting here still in my PJ bottoms, and it's fine.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
the way
I
to
did
be.
put on a t-shirt for today, so I'm pretty proud of myself.
Goals, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I have 2 weeks to complete 2 units of biology, so we'll see if I can do this.
That's I remember when I used to do that.
And write a final. And write a final in those 2 weeks too, so.
I definitely don't miss the stress of doing school right now. And for all the people who are doing school online, are you okay?
No.
Do you need a hug?
No, because I'm paying the same in tuition fees to not fucking have a teacher.
Yeah, it's
Well, no, that's not
that's
true.
rough.
My teachers are actually quite helpful, but face to face, I can't physically ask questions. I have to schedule a call. I have to schedule and hope to God that the internet works and hope to God that they know how to use their own internet, which sometimes these teachers do not.
It's definitely tricky for sure. And I mean, like anything with online. I remember taking like that CALM course, like CALM.
In high school?
Do you remember taking that in like high school?
Yeah. Yep, I do.
And I remember just like breezing through that course. So I had like a whole spare block that I just like hung out in the drama room for like a spare.
The best.
And it was always such a joke. Like it was like, finish this online quiz, and then you can go. We're like, all right. So it's like there was no learning there. I don't even remember what I learned in comm. I don't think I learned anything.
I think
It was
it's
just
life
like
skills.
finish this online test.
I think it's supposed to be like, I think I briefly remember learning how to write a resume. And I think...
Yeah, but then they retaught us that in university.
Did they?
They did. They told us how to do like a music resume. They're like, here's what you need to put on your music resume.
Okay.
Which is basically the same thing.
Right. They did teach that. You're right.
Yeah.
I remember that. And how many jobs did that get me?
I think it got me exactly one.
Actually, I think it did get me 1 or 2. I think about it.
But
music teaching job.
It got me exactly one, but I already had a relationship with the person who like...
Oh, so really it wasn't.
Yeah. So it's like, I knew the person beforehand before they hired me. So it's like, it didn't really get, so I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that.
But anyway. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Yes.
And I mean, like in the music industry, you can't go to a venue being like, here's my resume. They'll be like, oh, this is a very extensive resume. They're like, we don't care. What do you sound like? And they just like toss it over their shoulder.
Exactly.
I'm kidding. They don't actually do that, but because you wouldn't give them your resume because they don't care about your resume.
That is strange. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So, but
anyways, long story short, don't go to music school. Just kidding.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
My Vienna Whyte mug is being washed, so I have the Like a Boss.
At least
mug.
It's white. Kind of the same. Right?
It almost looks the same. I tried to keep it the same.
Hide it behind the mic, you can't see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good.
So, all right. So we're going to jump into our segments here. So if you're new here, welcome. This is the show where me and my bandmate Millie, we talk about some entertainment news. So either in music or arts and entertainment, we have 3 segments on that. And then second half of the show, we review an album, which today's album is Loyal Lobos's Everlasting.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to that a little bit later. But first, we're going to jump into our first topic.
Some music news.
Music news. Which has to do with our pal, Mr. John Legend. Mm-hmm. So if you hadn't heard the news, Chrissy Teigen announces she's pregnant with baby number 3 in John Legend's Wild music video. Which I saw some articles on this, like headlines and stuff, where they're like, this is the perfect announcement. So Chrissy Teigen and John Legend reveal that they're expecting a 3rd child in the music video for his song Wild, which features their kids Luna and Miles.
I love that name, Luna.
Yeah.
I wish I had the balls to name my child something like that. But I would just be called a hippie.
Yeah. Where is it? Chrissy and John held their kids' hands as they walked on the idyllic Mexico beach, where the family vacationed and shot the video. Chrissy and John's decision to announce their pregnancy in the music video is rather fitting, considering the pair first met on the set of his Stereo music video in 2006, directed by their friend, Nabil Elderkin. In the YouTube premiere, the duo shared that they were happy to replicate how their love story began and document their family's growth, especially with Nabil, who introduced them in the first place. Aww. Oh, they're so cute.
So it's in the music video that this is like announced, basically? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah,
basically. You can see she's pregnant, kind of like Katy Perry did for that one video too.
I honestly don't know. I think they just announced it. I didn't actually get a chance to look at the video, so I'm fairly certain that was
right now. Let's see. She doesn't look pregnant in this video, so
yeah. So I think they just announced it.
Wait, let me go right to the end. I feel like the end will give me like a. Nope, actually, no. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, you can see it in the end. Just kidding. There's a screenshot of her going.
So yeah, at the end here, neither John nor Chrissy have addressed their pregnancy on their respective social media accounts yet. But John further stirred the pot by sharing this caption: "New music video for #Wild is out now with 5 heart emojis." And then the last lines are, "Were the 5 hearts intentional? It may never be known." And it's
okay, that sounds like Taylor Swifties right there.
Yeah.
Did she mean to put 5 holes in the fence?
I don't know. So,
oh man,
yeah. So they've confirmed that they're expecting baby number 3. So congrats, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Happy for you.
Rich
I
baby.
honestly didn't even know John Legend had kids. So
I knew he had 1. I didn't even know they had 2. But
I'm just really bad at keeping up with pop culture news, just because I tend to scroll through TikTok for hours on end. So
I'm just bad because I just don't care.
That is also
because there's so many things to think about in a day, and if I'm going to think about John Legend for at least 1/8 of my day, that's to me a waste of my time. So, anyways, it's very cool to see, but I usually like to tune into like the music, not the personal life. But hey,
yeah, sometimes the personal life if it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that's the news about John Legend.
I feel like we actually talked about this next topic already, if I'm being honest, but I don't really remember. But anyhow, Lady Gaga is ready to just dance at the 2020 MTV Music Awards. They announced Thursday that Gaga, who is tied as the most nominated act alongside Ariana Grande, will perform on August 30th. Oh, maybe that's what it was. They said that she was nominated. That makes more sense. Other performers include The Weeknd, BTS, J Balvin, Doja Cat, and other people that I do not know. So that's really cool to see. 7 of her 9 nominations, including Video of the Year, are for her collaboration with Grande, with that new #1 hit, Rain on Me, Rain on Me. And she's also nominated for Artist of the Year and the Best Quarantine Performance. Apparently that's
Best
a
quarantine
category now.
That's a category now?
So one of the two new
Oh my
categories
God.
related to the pandemic for Smile from the TV special, One World Together at Home, MTV also introduced the Best Music Video from Home award this year.
That's amazing. Can we just like, oh my God, we should have like a pandemic like themed award show. Like, you got out of bed today.
Yay!
So we got a question.
Your eyes out.
We got a question on Reddit saying, what's this podcast about? Yes, this podcast is about some music news. So we are Millie and Marissa from the band Vienna, Whyte here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This is the show where we talk about some artists / entertainment / music news. And the second half of the show, we do an album review. So stick around for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's really cool that we have like pandemic themed awards now. That's really funny, but also like doesn't really surprise me, but that's really cool. If you could get any pandemic award, what would you get? What would you want to win?
Best bang trim. Because I'll never be able to achieve that award.
You did really good with that. Your bangs looked really good when you cut them.
Yeah. I've been kind of letting them do their own thing. Like I'm still trimming them, but they're seeming to go like this now, more like curtain bangs. And I'm like, you know what? If that's what you want to do, you do that. I'm not in charge of you.
The last time I cut my bangs was this long ago.
Woo! Nice.
I used to have like those front cross bangs for like the longest time.
You did.
But I did, yeah.
I forgot about that.
I think I should win the award for went the longest without a haircut. I feel like everybody has gone and got their haircuts now. I still have not.
I have not. And
you
my hair
technically cut your own hair.
Well, just the bangs. That's I guess, but I really wouldn't count that. But sure, we'll go for it. The album is going to be. We'll link it later, but it's going to be "Everlasting" by Lobos.
Loyal Lobos.
Wow, why did I? That was really wrong.
You read it backwards.
My brain functioned the wrong way. Anyhow.
Yeah.
So that's really it on the article. It just talked more about like Keke Palmer, which we talked about hosting. And
yeah, I'm so excited to see her host. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, so definitely check that out if you're interested in that. I don't know if I'll be watching for that, but I think I'll be mostly watching for Keke Palmer hosting. Yeah, because I always tend to like find the host more enjoyable. But anyway,
yeah, I agree.
So our third bit of news here has to do with Miley Cyrus. The first line of this article is "She is here," which is like slightly ominous. This is from Entertainment Canada. Miley Cyrus releases Midnight Sky music video. So on Friday, Miley Cyrus released her newest single, Midnight Sky, along with a bright, catchy music video. Nice. The song is the first off of her upcoming album, She Is Miley Cyrus. And this is a quote from Miley Cyrus in the song. It's been a long night and the mirror is telling me to go home, but it's been a long time since I felt this good on my own. 9 years went by with my hands tied up in your ropes, forever and ever no more.
We just disconnected for just a minute there.
Oh,
on everything, I think, again.
Oh, are we back?
I think so, yeah. Check your Reddit just really quick.
Okay.
I think it did that thing that it did yesterday. The same thing. I think it did again.
Okay.
So anyways.
We'll do that.
Continue.
Anyway, I don't know where it cut off, so I'm just going to read that last lyric again. So it's... Okay, they said we're back. Okay, perfect.
Sweet.
It's been a long night and the mirror's telling me to go home, but it's been a long time since I've felt this good on my own. 9 years went by with my hands tied up in your ropes, forever and ever no more, she sings.
Ooh.
Which is pretty straightforward. And I can take a couple guesses as to who that's about. So ahead of the release, Cyrus teased her self-directed video with a few clips, including one of her laying in multicolored gumballs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, that sounds about Miley Cyrus, but I really dig it. So there's no release date yet for her album, but it's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm going to play this music video. I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, I also wanted to watch this. Packmaster93 says, favorite Miley Cyrus song is The Climb.
It's
agree. A pretty good song. I like, the last time I freaked out. Yeah. But I mean, if I had to say, I would say it's... the
best of both worlds.
No, I was
that
going
one's
to say
your favorite.
Party
Come
in the
on.
U.S. I would say Party in the USA was my favorite, but
Oh, that's another good one, actually. She looks like
also,
Dolly Parton.
I was just about to say she looks like Dolly Parton in this video. If you guys want to check out this video, see if I can actually link it if you guys want to watch it later.
Or just check out Midnight Sky on YouTube, and I'm sure it'll pop
that's
up.
probably easier than me looking for the video.
Jeez, so, she does look like Dolly.
Yeah, that's incredible. She looks like her godmother, which is hilarious.
I feel like this is intentional.
Maybe.
Look her. Because she's got the haircut down pretty good, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
she looks great.
Yeah.
This is such a cool video.
So colorful.
Yeah, very like 80s inspired.
Ooh.
Like with like the editing of just like her head in one corner.
She's naked. Yep. That's what I was waiting for. Yep. I was like, maybe she won't. No, yeah, she will. She's covered. But,
you know, Miley Cyrus, you do you. You know, you do you. I used to be one of those Miley Cyrus haters. And then I realized how wrong I was and how judgmental I was being. So,
well, I think
Miley Cyrus, you freaking go.
It's a big shift and people weren't ready. That's all. But there's really no time to be ready for something like that. So like when artists change or when they change up their look, people usually do react very like, you know, like they feel like it's their right to say
clutch their pearls.
Yeah, they feel like it's their right to say, you know, what someone looks like or what someone does when it really
or what
is
someone
not.
Sounds like. Yeah. And it's funny because it happens all the time, not just in pop either. Like it happens in every single genre.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you go, Glen Coco.
You go, Montana. Even though that's not your last name, but forever will be to me. Yeah. Let's. I guess. Do you know what time we started at this thing? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know.
Okay. Because I'm like, are we really just ahead of schedule? Do we talk that fast? But I don't think we did. So I guess we'll just move on to our album review. And someone said, Quinn's Quasi said, Twitter is the most judgy about decisions artists make. It's so toxic. You know what? I don't. I kind of agree because Twitter to me is always, when you hear about these big stories, it always starts on Twitter. Like there's always a Twitter feud. And I'm just like, why do people still go on Twitter? I didn't know people still went on it, but apparently it seems like it's like a big hub for celebrities and
yeah. I haven't gotten a Twitter and I just like, I don't think I ever will. I just never saw the point in Twitter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth it at this point to like start a Twitter account, you know, unless you're like a huge celebrity.
Yeah.
But,
or if you want to keep up with a lot of celebrities, like I had it. Deleted it, had it, deleted it. And I'm like, I'd have no desire.
Like, the only reason I go on Twitter is to go to, like, comedy accounts and just read through the threads and just, like, look at tweets that are just, like, really funny. Like, one of my favorite ones is where it's, like, the emo kid Kylo Ren. And it's just, like, someone pretending to be Kylo Ren as, like, a teenager. It's so funny.
Yeah. They've got some good memes on there, too. And I have a friend, actually, who has, like, she does like Stan accounts basically. So there's a lot of people on Twitter that do like those kind of accounts too, I've noticed. But
also really quick, Jellin, no, we will speak back to you. I promise.
What's up, Jellin?
So yeah, welcome to the chat.
Cool emote.
Welcome
I
to
know,
the
right?
Chat.
That's our hello emote. Oops.
Yeah, Twitter's where it's at, but it's full of negativity. Yeah, I feel like that's quite a bit of social media is like that. So
I honestly just didn't have my Twitch window open for 5 seconds, and that's why I didn't see your comment. But I'm here. Don't you cry.
So
don't you cry. Looks a little dark in a black theme, but okay. Oh yeah, I have the black theme on too, actually.
Yeah.
On Twitch. It's really, I love, oh my gosh, whenever there's a function or an option
that
for
gives you the dark theme.
Dark mode, I'm like, yes, turn dark. Because it's so much nicer.
It just, and it feels nicer on your eyes too. Also, we got a question on Reddit from Slutty Ankles. That is the best username ever. Says, what's your favorite music genre? And that is a very loaded question. Do you want us to spend 2 hours answering that question?
When it comes down to it, it's pop for me. It's the pop for me.
I don't know. I have too many.
It's a singer-songwriter for her.
But I don't even know if it's that. I think like
just admit it.
I really like
just
alt rock. I like listening to alt rock a lot. But I don't know. It's very hard for me to make decisions.
She knows.
I don't.
It's singer-songwriter. Just say it.
I don't know. Probably, maybe. I don't know. I tend to spend a lot of time answering questions because I have to explain every little detail of why I like certain things.
I've come to realize in life I have a lot of friends that are very indecisive, and I'm an indecisive person, and that's not a good combo. I had a friend come over the other day, and I won't say who it is, but she was deciding whether she should get supper before she went to her boyfriend's house because we had gone for a walk. And she couldn't decide if she wanted to go to the grocery store, if she wanted to go to a takeout store, or if she wanted to just go home. And it took 45 minutes to make the decision while I sat there and went, I don't know, maybe you should. No, that's not a good idea. Okay, maybe you should. No, I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to say that I don't understand because I totally get it.
I mean, I'm indecisive too, but I can, when I need to make the decision, I will make the decision.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Favorite music genre, Disney. That's true.
Yes, that is.
I never thought about that.
Me. Yeah.
Favorite song this month?
Oof.
Any song from the Taylor Swift album?
Yeah, that's pretty good. The first one I can think of off the top of my head right now is Los Angeles by the Aces that we listened to like a couple weeks ago. I like that. I like that song. It gets stuck in my head quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I like that song.
Yeah, I've been recently like shuffling my playlists, and I don't look at the song sometimes when I have new songs. And I'm like, this song's so good. And then I look at the song, and it's mostly from the album reviews we've been doing, and I'm like, I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to scroll through.
If you could choose anyone in the world, who would you invite to dinner?
I
feel like you would choose. Wait, let me see if I can guess. You would choose Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I can't say his name for the life of me.
I mean, probably. That's a pretty good one.
Or
like Philippa
he'd be a
Sue.
good combo,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would just have so many questions for him.
I love this on Twitch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, you don't have to explain. You just like this, that, or both. Yeah, it reminds me of grocery shopping with my girl. She never knows what we're going to get there till she sees it. Yeah, sometimes that's true for people. They just need to see it in front of their faces to make the decision. So,
yeah. Yeah, thanks for the questions. I appreciate that. Yeah. So actually, let's move on to our album review.
Yes.
So we're going to put the link in the chat here if you guys want to listen along with us. Today we are reviewing our newest album. Well, not our album. That would be cool if it was, though. Yeah. We're reviewing Lobos, Everlasting. So we're going to put the link here on Twitch. Album of the day. And there you go. So Reddit, I'm also going to put the link here on Reddit if you guys want to listen along with us. There you go. So we're all going to hit play together because you got to listen to the album when we do the album review. It gets you in the mood. Know what
we're talking about.
Yeah. Also, it's fun because if Millie mentions something, I'll have to like go back and be like, wait, I need to hear this part of the song.
Guess it wouldn't be too much accurate reviewing of your own album. Yeah, probably not. We'd be like, this is amazing.
So we know exactly what went behind this song that we wrote. Review our own album. That'd be hilarious. But instead of reviewing it, we just roast it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my God, we should do that. So this happened and I didn't like it and I hated it and blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
And I hated it.
So Spotify's taking forever to open for me, but that's okay. I'm going to go into a little bit about this artist because she has a very, very cool background. Yeah. So originally, Chrome is freezing on me. Hold on. It's thinking. Give me a second.
She thinking though.
Okay. There we go.
There.
So under the moniker of Loyal Lobos, LA-based singer-songwriter Andrea Silva crafts raw alt-folk songs that break down convention. Silva was first introduced to music through her kindergarten teacher, who made her the soloist in their choir for every funeral and school graduation. So she sang a lot of funerals. Her natural music abilities were soon recognized by the community and her family, who then allowed her to get guitar lessons and continue to grow her talent. Music became her first and most important outlet to deal with her emotions. Later, she moved to Los Angeles at 18 to pursue music. And there, Loya Lobos was born. And funnily enough, she actually changed her name after a pretty messy breakup. So she changed her name and became Loya Lobos.
After a messy breakup.
Yeah. So it says, in the aftermath of failed relationships while sofa surfing and seeking solace, there's a lot of S's in that sentence, in Los Angeles, Silva began to write songs that describe love and heartbreak, but refused to slip into the inertia of all-consuming sadness. So, and then there's a couple more things here. She actually, where was it? Her musical background was actually in jazz. She learned how songs worked in that genre style. When she was 18, she moved to the US, but she's actually from Colombia. So she's an immigrant, which is really cool. And she started doing synth pop there. She found her messages were getting lost in the music and gravitated towards the folk because it seemed a bit more true to the lyrical message she wanted to portray. Her influences are Elliott Smith, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, particularly evocative Daniel Johnson. So she's just super, super cool. And she is very proud of her heritage and uses that a lot in her music. So yeah, that's a little bit about her. She's a cool person.
She is. So about this album a tiny bit, because I couldn't find too much information. She actually, this album was released August 7th, 2020, so literally a week ago. It's classified under alt folk, which is interesting to me. But throughout Everlasting, Silva mines both her childhood memories of growing up in the countryside and her experiences as a young adult to create poetic, painterly music that makes sweeping allusions to love, sexuality, and femininity. Felt like Finding Nemo. And anemone. She calls this album her first chance to realize the full scope of her vision and attributes its success to her creative mind meld with Everlasting producer and collaborator Evan Voitas. So she actually wrote every song on this album, with a few songs that were joined on with some co-writers. But either way, really cool. I think that's really sweet that she wrote all of the songs on the album. So that's basically the most amount of information I could find about the album.
I actually found one more thing that I was, when I was scrolling through. Apparently, she also worked with hit maker for Shawn Mendes. So the guy who basically worked with Shawn Mendes, she also got to work with him, which is really cool for this album. So yeah, I thought that was super neat. Really cool fact. And it's interesting. I mean, the more and more I read about artists from LA, the more I'm like, I got to move there. I got to meet all these people. Who are these people that you work with, and how do I meet them? So
I feel like that's I feel like it seems really easy, you know? You're like,
no,
it's just go there.
It's definitely probably not easy, but I think it's a lot easier to like meet these people and talk with them if you're in the same city as them.
It's true.
But yeah, it's really cool. And I just think that it's amazing that you're able to like work with these people and find these connections and ultimately make some pretty great music. So let's jump into our thoughts on this album. So as we said, we linked it there if you guys want to check out the album and listen along with us. Let us know your thoughts. So first impressions. What were your first impressions on this album, Millie?
Well, when I first started hitting play, it had a really dreamy pop vibe, and we've had a few of those albums in the past few weeks. But I was quite immediately hooked to the album. She reminded me of a specific artist that I couldn't put my thumb on at the time, but then near the end of the album, I realized it was Lennon Stella. She had like these similarities too. And at first I was thinking like the Canadian artist Lights, but I was like, No, I don't think that's
a little bit. But
then I realized, I was like, I don't think that's who it is. And I kind of realized it sounds a little bit more to me. Actually, Lennon Stella is Canadian too, which I always forget, but it sounds a little bit more like Lennon Stella to me. So just some elements here and there. Right. Not the whole song, obviously, in the whole album, but it was interesting. Very, very interesting to hear that. What were your first thoughts when you listened to this album?
Yeah, I said it was spacey, just really vibing. It was really airy. And I liked how the vocals sat in the mix among the instrumentation. Yes. The mixing in particular really stuck out to me. I thought it was really well done. And just in general, like the sonic quality of everything and how everything was kind of sitting in the arrangement was just very like uplifting to listen to.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like floaty and light. It's really cool. Yeah.
Floaty. Yeah, I agree. I actually had some similar comments that you said too of things that I liked about this album. Well, this is kind of like main points about the album, but this artist really, I think, isn't afraid to be bold and different. And she actually writes about this a little bit in her lyrics too. But if you look through her actual Instagram and if you listen to her music, you can see this is quite evident that she's not afraid, and she's not afraid to be artsy and say whatever she wants to say. So I think with her background too, it's important that she continues to be who she is and she doesn't feel the need to fit into the typical LA American music scene where she's expected, maybe expected to sing like a pop singer, maybe expected to dye her hair blonde to fit in with what the image is. She's like exactly who she is. I think that's really, really interesting. I liked her usage of auto-tune actually on the track Papel. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And I think this album it's a slower moving album for sure, like ballad wise, a little bit slower in tempo. But it does not lack in any way. Sometimes with slower albums, they lack quite a bit because you're just trying to grasp on and you're like, oh God, like this is like not moving kind of thing, right? But this album had a nice flow and a nice movement to it that I really enjoyed. And I think they did a good blend of, especially with the producing and maybe the producer of this album, they did a really great job of considering that and adding in certain effects here and there to spice up the song a little bit more,
Yeah, to enhance it.
Yeah, because I think it's
absolutely
most of these songs probably started with a core basic idea. And I think in the production part or the studio, that's where I think things really started to kind of start shining through. So yeah, those are things that I really enjoyed about the album. What were your kind of, I don't know if you've already mentioned things that you liked, but
yeah, there's a bunch of things here. So I said I love when people use their culture and their language as a form of expression in their art. And I think that was one of the things that really makes her stand out in this record. She brings something really unique and beautiful to this record with that. And it feels like it's more near and dear to her heart too, in that sense. And it was one of my favorite things about it. As I said before, like the mixing was really, really, really well done. In general, like the vocals were really just gorgeous and floaty and just, I think I described them as like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like the way that the songs were crafted too, like were very like creative and very, like you could tell that it was a very honest expression for her. Like I could tell that she wasn't trying to like write a pop song. She was just writing from the heart and just kind of like artist feelings vomiting thing. Yeah, and I really, really appreciated it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's actually something I noted a little bit later on, but definitely the use of her culture and her own language is really, really interesting to me.
Yeah.
But,
and we had a question on Reddit here that said, MiniBoy2019 said, when was the first time you heard, I think when was the first time you heard about her? We heard about her earlier this week when we were given the albums that we were going to listen to, because it's always a surprise to us, the albums that we listen to.
Yeah.
I try to go in listening to these albums without knowing anything about the artist if I can, just to kind of get a really good cold listen. I mostly just like learned about her this week. So
Yeah, very fresh.
Yeah. Very
fresh to knowing about her. So were there any things, I actually didn't note anything down of things I didn't enjoy or didn't really like. I did try and listen for things that maybe were off or things I would have changed, but for me, I don't think there's anything I would have changed.
No, honestly, I wouldn't. Okay. I wouldn't change anything either. I mean, give me another Spanish song because I love those ones. Those are so cool. Very true. But in general, like I think that I could tell a lot of work went into this album and a lot of work went into the details.
Yeah.
So I can't really honestly say that I would change anything. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
What was my favorite song for me was Papel. I think it's such a beautiful blend of her original language, and it's so interesting because it feels like such a pop song that you would hear on the radio. And I've never heard anything quite like this. So I myself really enjoyed listening to it because I was like, I've never heard a different language. Well, I've heard this language probably before, but mixed in with this very stereotypical pop music kind of blend. And it's interesting because you don't hear that in pop music. You usually hear English most of the time, but maybe just because I haven't explored pop music in other countries very much. But I enjoyed it because I myself haven't heard that before. So.
Yeah.
What was your favorite song that you liked?
I had two favorites, actually. My first favorite was Si Te Portas. I think I said that right. I will always love it when people sing synth pop songs in a different language, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Specifically, I wrote Spanish, but it auto-corrected to panic. I said especially Spanish songs.
Especially panic songs.
Panic.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just, this is what happens when I try to write down my thoughts extremely fast. So I said I love the feel of that song. It had that dance hall beat underneath. I had no idea what the song was about, but I really enjoyed the emotion behind it, just listening to it musically. Yeah. Even if I didn't understand the lyrics. I got little words here and there, but for the most part, I was like, I don't know what it means, but I like it.
Yeah.
And I said I enjoyed the floaty background vocals and how it opened up to this broad, higher frequency sounds that you could still hear that beat behind that was really, really underneath and just kind of behind everything.
Right.
Yeah, and this was the song that I said it felt like taking a full breath of fresh air, and it was really cool to listen to.
Yeah.
And then my second favorite one was Everlasting. And that one, I enjoyed the ease of her high range in that song. And again, I like the far back echoey guitar with that padded vocals. And then the drums were even further back, but you could still hear them really forward in the mix. And it built and built and built, and it just felt like you were floating on air. And it really felt like what did I say? The image that popped into my head was when you're flying, and you're on a plane, and then you look out and you're over top of the clouds and the sun is setting. That's what that song reminded me of. Really cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's a cool comparison. I dig that.
Imagery for days in this brain. So anyway.
I love it. Love it. Yeah, I think the lyrics for me were sometimes a bit difficult to make out, not because of the language, but sometimes just because of the genre of the music and how airy and reverby and echoey this album was. But upon some research of looking into the lyrics a little bit more, I found this lyric, like you always knew, you always know, and I'm not the bold kind to follow. So this just shows that she is the badass. It is exactly who she is, 100%. And there's no BS behind her music or her as an artist. And she clearly is able to say that in a song. So she knows that too. And then also, I really like, this is in the same song. I think this is from Everlasting. Dreamy love, beautiful sky. You play your songs that I really like. And now we're somewhere down at 5. At 7 a.m., but sleeping's for the dead. You're driving fast, but I don't care. With you, I'd crash and roll over. And these lyrics, man, these are the main character lyrics of your TikTok that you need to make, because it's just so coming of age.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's great.
Oh, absolutely. Man, those are some good choices. Wow.
But I also think it's interesting because I think obviously English wasn't her first language. I would assume. I don't know for sure, but her lyrics are more like I don't want to say they're choppy because I don't want them to seem negative, but they're very like straightforward. Like there's like, you know how some artists will really romanticize and build up these sentences. I think hers are very to the point.
It's that short and sweet, but
Yeah.
like less is more thing, which we've
Yeah.
talked about many times on these album reviews.
Oh yeah.
Where you're saying a lot with very minimal
little
stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's when an artist is most successful, when they can get their message across without saying a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always nice when they have that too, because you can interpret in so many different ways. And that's one of the beautiful things about art, is that you can change it and listen to it and interpret it in different ways. Yeah. So it can kind of, so you can understand the album from your perspective and not just their perspective. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I 100%, I truly respect that when artists do that, and they can do it successfully too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So what were there any lyrics that kind of stood out for you, or anything you want to say about the lyrics themselves?
Honestly, I had most of the same notes as you did. Like they were just very straightforward and very to the point and honest and like brutally honest. And yeah. I didn't write down any lyrics that stuck out to me in particular, but I think that's just because I was so focused on like the harmonic content that I was just like, wow. But yeah, I mean, like, I just, in terms of like the sound of the lyrics, the ones that I enjoyed the most were the ones on the Spanish songs, just because I love that language flows, and it just sounds like it has a different sound than English does, and I just like it better.
Yep.
And I don't know how to describe why, I just do.
Well, and I feel like for me, I don't know what it's saying, so I love it, because I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's great. I love it that way.
Yeah, and it's and I think the reason why I like it is just, as I mentioned before, like it feels like it's something very personal to her. As someone who speaks a second language, like I know that when I sing in Ukrainian, it's a very different feeling than when I sing in English. Sometimes it depends on what I'm singing about, but
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mostly was focused on her voice too, which is pretty
beautiful,
pretty.
Yeah. Speaking of her voice, I want to talk about her vocals. I think the mixing of the reverb on this album is really well done. Sometimes with reverb, it can be way too much. And it's just like, it has potential, but it gets ruined by this overly processed effects, right? So I think really, really well done. And I think she has such a nice tone, and honestly, it just glides through the start of this album to the end. It just glides its way through. There's no like hiccups in her voice. There's not a huge variation in her tone or voice, which I actually don't mind in this album, because her voice is just really, really beautiful. So it's like I didn't really need it to be very much different from its, I didn't need like a huge belt. I didn't need a huge like I didn't need her to riff a lot. Like I think it worked really well with her tone and her voice.
Yeah. And I think it worked with the emotions and the themes in this album. I don't think I didn't need any of that stuff in this album, just because I feel like it would have taken me out of the experience of listening to this album. Yeah. So I think everything that she did vocal wise was like very fitting. Couple things I had about her voice. Like her ease of kind of moving through her range was really nice to hear. I said that high note on Sophia, the really high note, was just gorgeous. I always get jealous of other vocalists when they can just go up there into their high notes like it's no big deal, but they also do it in a way that just feels like like it's I'm like, how do you do that? How
there's no strain, no stress, you can tell.
Exactly. And it's just it feels so natural, and so like she has this ease in her voice, and it's incredible. And like you mentioned before, like I think all the vocals and harmonies just like sat really nicely in the mix. I think that if they were put in any other way, it would only take away from this album. And I think that the way that they were mixed and placed in the album was perfect for the genre and perfect for this album specifically. So yeah.
As for instrumentation, the instrumentation sparks a lot of, for some reason, like nostalgia for me, and I'm not really even sure why. But even though her experiences, I've obviously never been through probably most of them, it gave me a sense of my own memories and thinking back to the past. And I think it's just the style of music and the like I said, the instrumentation for it. Her dynamics and vocals with the with the vocals and with the instrumentation add a really nice build to what can feel like such simple song structures. I think when you are able to use your dynamics well and successfully, it really shows through your music, and it is noticed. Like, if people might think like, oh, if I make this part louder, is anyone going to care? But I think there is some point where it actually does start to affect the overall sound of your music and your album or whatever you're going for. So the drum machine itself, I think it was super subtle. And just a sec here. I have to restart this. Wee. There we go. The drum machine was super subtle, but it wasn't too overpowering in the mix, which I really enjoyed, because it blended in really perfectly. And it added a bit of movement for sure for those slower songs, so that they don't like, and I don't want to say drag on, but so they kind of have movement to them, right? So they're not just a slow song. And I think there were some super sweet harmonies on Sophia specifically. I really enjoyed the harmonies there. So,
there's a lot of things on this album, instrumentation wise, that I thought was really neat and kind of gave me some different feelings and different kind of images that popped into my head. The synths in particular, I thought were just really cool the way that they used them. And yeah, they had that kind of nostalgic feel. I said specifically in Papel, the synths were very like 80s inspired. And it just got like really, really, really spacey. Which again, I don't know if the using of the 80s synth was like intentional.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's where a lot of music is going right now, is like we're getting very nostalgic of the 80s right now. So it's cool to hear that inspiration in there. In particular with Everlasting, as I mentioned before, like that was one of my favorite songs. The guitar in the background of that song, like the drums, the beat underneath. I thought it was just a really well put together instrumentation wise. The sax / synth, I couldn't tell if it was a sax or a synth on You Were Born. You Were Bored, not You Were Born.
You were born.
Again, this is Marissa writing down her thoughts very quickly.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that.
So at the very end, like I said, it kind of reminded me of when you're waking up from a dream and like something sets you off. And to me, it sounded like it was like a truck honking, or like a boat, and it was like, huh, and then you wake up, you're like, what? I just thought that was really cool.
That's a neat
so
way
I
to
don't know
look
if
at
that
it.
was intentional, but that is how I interpreted it. So
she's like, yeah, that's totally how I.
like, yeah, totally.
Sure.
You're right. And then she's just like, all right, move along. So anyway, it's just funny. The instrumentation gave me a lot of like it sparked a lot of my imagination, which normally synth pop albums don't do. I just kind of like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Da-da. But with this one, it was just like setting off things in my brain.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Really cool. I love that interpretation. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Let's chat about the album artwork, because this is interesting. I have really no idea what the meaning behind it is. I could take some guesses, but I feel like this is just an artistic approach. When I did look at a lot of her Instagram photos, a lot of them, I mean, they're obviously like art inspired, but a lot of them just seem, I don't want to say random, but I don't know if there's necessarily an intention behind them, you know? Because I find with those kind of photos and those very vintage-esque photos, there's not necessarily meanings behind them. It's just a really nice filter, a really nice pose. So I'm not sure. I'm curious to know what you think, because I couldn't really map up what I think this could mean to me.
Yeah, I honestly I don't know. I wasn't sure what I thought of when I first looked at this album cover. I knew it was going to be super artsy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, going through her Instagram and like I even watched the video for Criminals.
Yeah.
And like she's super artsy and I dig it so much. Um so when I was looking at this album artwork, to me it almost seemed like because she has like her hands around her throat there. Um I got the interpretation that this was her trying to show us that she's been kind of held down by the music that she's been making before, or the music that has been the expectation that's been put on her for the type of music that she's supposed to make.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was mostly the interpretation I got from looking at this. Cause like when I look at the title Everlasting, it makes me think of like her spirit, her artistic interpretation, her emotional expression, like that's everlasting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought of Tuck Everlasting, like where like you know that book, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like where that like person, those people are immortal. So like when I looked at that and I thought of that, I was like, oh, she looks like an immortal person. And it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I almost imagine that her image and the image of herself is everlasting. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's what I got from that. And I thought it was really cool. And she's way cooler than I think I'll ever be in my life. So yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
What kind of colors did you see when listening to this album?
Ooh, I got like I'm trying to describe what I pictured, because it wasn't like, it was like like desert sand dunes and like oranges, but also like at the same time I also got like space and galaxies
Oh yeah.
when I listened to this. So it's kind of both of those things. I got it on different songs. It kind of flipped between the two.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you?
Weirdly enough, got like magenta and turquoise, and I don't really know why. I have no explanation why. Sometimes I have explanations for them, and then sometimes they just come into my head, and it's the only color I can see, and I'm like, okay, my brain is just telling me this is the color.
And I feel like it's interesting when we describe our colors, because it also tells us like what our brains were thinking at the time.
Yeah.
Because colors are very telling of like what your emotions are going through too. So
Yep.
that's cool.
That's interesting.
I like it.
I think if I was to recommend this album, or if I was to listen to it in a specific environment, I would recommend this album to anyone who wants to explore a genre that they maybe feel fairly familiar with, but wants to explore either a new language, or just a new take on a version of pop music. So I think this album was a really interesting listen for this. And I think if I was to listen to this anywhere, it would be a home environment for sure. Like some songs I could see being more active, like if you're driving somewhere, but then I see some songs being when you're at home, just like chilling, having a good time. Because some of them are sleepy. So if I was like at work, I would feel like, like passing out. So
yeah. Yeah, I would 100% turn on this album like on my speakers in my living room. I would have it just like filling the room. I think that's the perfect environment to listen to. I think that this is one of those albums where you do have to like sit down and actively listen, because I think that you're going to get your best experience doing that. Well, I mean, with any album, you're going to get your best experience if you do that. But with this one in particular, because I think it's very focused on making you listen. Whereas other albums are more about like dancing and partying and having a good time. And every album has its own thing. But for this one specifically, I think that yeah, the chill vibe is definitely how I would listen to it. Yeah, I'd recommend this album to anybody who likes Billie Eilish. I think you might like this album.
Yeah.
It's definitely a more loose Billie Eilish, like in terms of like the way that the songs are put together. I feel like if Billie Eilish was to release folk music, she would release this.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, just, and in terms of like her tonal quality as well, I think
I got some
in her
Mickey
voice.
Green vibes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, just anybody who's like a super huge fan of like indie music, I think you'll really enjoy this album. and like you said, kind of expanding your musical vocabulary.
Yeah,
I think
we got a comment here on Twitch that said, "Is this a Reddit Sorry, on Reddit. Is this a Reddit broadcast or on YouTube?" And then actually, this is on Reddit and Twitch as well, so you can check it out. Twitch.tv/Vienna Whyte. We like to broadcast on both because we get to meet new people through both platforms. Yeah. So if you guys are liking what you're hearing so far on our album review, make sure to check us out on Instagram as well, where we post basically every information about when we go live. We also stream live music too, so we sing too, which is really cool.
Yes, we do.
So check us out. Instagram, Vienna Whyte. But anyhow, yeah, I think in conclusion, this album was really diverse in a lot of ways, but also very familiar to me with kind of the theme, the alternative pop theme behind it. I really enjoyed hearing a different language and the feminine energy this artist has, and she seems really unapologetic in what she does with her music, and I live for that because it's 2020 also. Can't wait to hear more from this artist in the future, and I gave this grade level an A.
Yes, I also, just my closing thoughts, I just think that this artist is only just beginning, and I can't wait to see where Lobos is going to go from here. She's very unapologetic, very like getting like David Bowie vibes from the way that she just like carries herself and goes into her music, and I really respect that and appreciate that. I also gave this album an A.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, everybody. We are done our album reviews for the week. Do you have a favorite album this week, out of curiosity? I know I kind of put you on the spot, but I would say Wasteland. I think that was my favorite album this week.
I'd probably say that as well. Yeah. This one is like close second.
Or the first one we did on Monday. What was that called? Last year was Weird, Volume 2.
Yeah, that one was really good too. I don't know. They're all so good.
It's hard.
I can't. Don't make me choose. They're all so good.
All right. My name is Millie Rouge. Thank you for tuning in to our morning brew album review. Wow. A lot of rhyming there. We hope you enjoyed it too. Okay, it's your turn.
My name is Marissa Kay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you want to check the schedule of when we go live, it's all on our Instagram. So just head to our Instagram at Vienna Whyte. We go live on Reddit and Twitch, and it's all posted on our YouTube channel as well. And on Spotify, you'll find this podcast there as well under Vienna Whyte Podcast. Millie's going to be going live on Reddit a little bit later today, and you will also see us on Sunday streaming together. So like I said, check Instagram for those times. And that's about it. So I hope you have a great Friday, everybody, and a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.